And we are live. So, sorry for the late start. I could have swore I scheduled this stream last night before I went to bed, and evidently I did not since I couldn't find it when I went to go live. So, anyway, with all that out of the way, here we are. This is the x-axis that we designed last time when we were supposed to be designing the z-axis. One of these things turns out exactly as we expected it to. It's been a little while. I can't recall if I made a slight adjustment to the spacing on these wheels between the last time we streamed and this time. Yeah, if I did, it's one of those things we'll find out when we get into the CAD. Otherwise, very simple. This this piece of extrusion that I got here is not specifically cut to this, but looking at it, we might be able to use it for it. One of those things is just a drop I had laying around that was about the right size, so I used it for demonstration purposes. Might actually work though, so if it does, that will be nice for me. Nice little bonus, don't have to cut another one. Otherwise, one of those things, it can always be used as part of the arcade stick prototyper. Not that big of a deal. Which actually, this was the one I had the sliders on. This is the exact same extrusion. Otherwise, one of those things, that's what we expected. That's how it printed. No real problems as far as I can tell. Doesn't look like anything's really screwed up that I messed up in the CAD. So that means that we can move on with a clear conscience. Only other thing to note is... Oh yeah, that's what it was. I knew there was something else I wanted to mention. The end stop right here. I forgot about it and left it over on my setup desk. I was saying I recalled seeing a mod for the ender that allowed you to tension the belt on the end. And again, just to reiterate, our plan with this was to do a Prusa style tensioning system where we actually move like this guy. We move the motor backwards in order to tension instead of moving the idler on the end. But I found this in my pile of random stuff I never put on my ender, and this is what this is how that worked. So again, I couldn't quite visualize how it worked, but this part goes into the end of the extrusion, and then it has this ring on the outside, so it's all the way past, it's big and over around, past the idler, which would be sitting in the center here. And that ring is on a screw that then pulls the idler out. So the idler is getting pulled that way. And yeah, so that was the device that I recalled seeing before. Again, I looked into my pile of stuff that was supposed to be on my ender and found it in there. So that's what we could have done, but again, that's not the path we're going with this one. We're just going to tension it with the spacing of the motor. Also, one thing that we haven't done is make feet for this yet. So one of those things I just realized when I did this, when I tapped the frame right here, that is something we have to get around to eventually. I do want to get started, however, on the z-axis, so we will be doing that instead. We'll put the feet off a while longer. So here we are. Just a reminder, this motor right here is the z-axis motor. The x-axis motor is going to be a small one, like this one, which, I mean, for the record, I already have on my desk. So that's the x-axis motor. But we don't actually need that right now at the moment. Well, actually, in a second we probably will, because I'll probably want to... Yeah, so I positioned the plate, it looks like, right dead center of the edge of the bed is the last thing I did. Again, it's been a little while. I didn't get to stream at all last week because of being busy. But it appears that this is this is where we ended up. So let's hop into here. Let's hop down and down and down. X-axis, and the extrusion is part of the x-axis, it looks like. So that extrusion I actually want to, well, let's see. I guess I won't extrude that extrusion yet. I'm trying to get over to the z-axis. Do the x-axis mount to the rollers for the x-axis, and then throw the z-axis in based on where that ends up, because we need to make sure we leave our z-axis is far enough out from the frame and the bed so it doesn't collide with the x-axis, or rather this plate. This plate really needs to be the thing that doesn't collide with the x-axis at the end of the day, or the z-axis rather. So what we should do at this point, do I have a midplane on this? I'm assuming I do, because that would make sense. Yep, we do. All right. So at this point, I got the extrusion set up in the middle here. And one of these things, as always, could do math, won't do math. So we are just going to realign this. There's that. Whoops. No, I want to realign the carriage, please. And actually, more specifically, the X-plane on the carriage to the edge of the bed. There we go. So that is the farthest left that our carriage should go, in which case the X-axis Y bracket, well, I mean, I'm going to do it a Y bracket because that's what's set up on the Ender, and the Prusa looks a bit different because it's on linear rails, so one of those things. I'll just go with what, you know, I'm used to seeing on an Ender, which is a Y bracket. Now, let me double check something really quick. Okay, what I was double checking was the Z axis on the Ender. It has a lead screw like normal. Again, we're not going to do a lead screw because we're doing something so tiny, but it has a lead screw, and that has a plate. And then, as I recalled, and this is what I was double checking because I recalled there being two plates, the other plate on the other side has the X axis on it. So we are going to sandwich our wheels this time on the Z axis, and then have a plate on each side, and the plate on the back side, just to stay consistent with existing designs, the plate on the back side will be the plate that attaches to the extrusion. So we will go ahead and get that done. Actually, you know what? I think it makes more sense to have the front side the way I have this. That's interesting. Oh no. My Prusa is backwards right now. That's why it looked like the backside to me. Okay. So front side will have the extrusion. I was going to say, it makes more sense for the front side to have the x-axis on it. Yes, it does. It definitely does, because that's how it's set up. So we are going to need wheels and a Y bracket. And the question is, how much overlap can we have on that, and do we want any at all? So, for example, I'm going to go ahead and just draw in here. We're going to capture position. So this Y bracket right here, the Y bracket it's a Y because we have our 3 design wheels here, but instead of having a square plate, we're just going to basically do this, right? This is how we're designing the plate. Rough sketch, really quick. So that's why I'm calling it a Y bracket. So that's the bracket that's going to be sandwiching the wheels. Again, the round parts being the wheels in this drawing. And the question is, you see how this front wheel technically could overlap, because this plate right here is going to be behind the extrusion. So technically speaking, you can see how that can overlap. The question is whether or not we want to, whether or not that's a good or bad idea. The other thing I'm realizing is that I have let's hop back up in here and look at one of these guys really quick, because I know the X-axis motor is on the Z-axis in most of these designs, but that's not the case in the Prusa. Not the case on, oh no, it is the case on the Ender. I was gonna say, back to the Ender is backwards right now on my shelf, because I was working on it, and therefore it keeps on flipping around in my mind. So I am obviously not clearly enough awake right now, even though I've been awake for 2.5 hours at this point. Yep, slept in till 8. It was nice. So despite being awake for 2.5 hours, evidently my brain's not keeping up. So yeah, the motor will get put back here, and we're just gonna have to dodge the Z extrusion, it looks like, looking at it. from here. I think that's the only concern. Because we're going to have the... So, pretend here, this is the lead screw, right? So, if you look at this, this is the extruder over here. So, this is the Z-axis, I believe. Yeah. Or the X-axis, rather. So, you can see how everything's a lot more compact here because it's linear rails. And the X-axis, you know, gets very close to that. Well, we're going to have a big old extrusion right here. Relatively big old extrusion right here at any rate. So, that's going to have to... At this point, this is probably going to be better off sitting back behind the extrusion, is basically what I'm getting at. So, anyway, one of those things, keep on talking about the theory behind it, probably should just start drawing. So, I'm going to back up here a little bit because I don't actually want that center plane, the origin plane that we had. And yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. Basically, it takes extra extrusion in order to, if we don't overlap the tool carriage, if we don't overlap the tool carriage with this plate, then it's going to require extra extrusion and extra belt. The extra belt is not that big of a deal, frankly, because I don't have, I mean, it's one of those things. I don't really have an excuse to be efficient with my belt usage here. It's not like I'm building a whole bunch of these, and chances are I'm going to be left off with and cut off a belt. For example, this belt that's on the X-axis right now is technically not long enough, like even at this length of extrusion, because it doesn't have nearly enough on the end for the pulley on the end. So this was just a cutoff from my first set of belts. I'm going to end up with another cutoff belt like this anyway, so if you imagine this being another 2 or 3 inches shorter because I decided to extend the X-axis further, you can understand that the drop is going to have probably room to spare. So again, I don't have to be super tight here, so we will plan on just not overlapping the tool carriage. Long story short. And let's see. So the plate has to be right here. The X motor idler has to be in line with this. So frankly, honestly, this is totally unrelated, but I really need to delete that song. The Swoopy song comes on like every once in a while, and it's just it's so out of nowhere. Let's see. Music. I think it said it was this one. Let's see. There it is. Deleted. Yes, I would like to delete it. Thank you. All right. We will not be listening to the spooky music anymore. That is, I downloaded a bunch of free music for the stream. And it's one of those things. I listen to a variety of samples from that particular artist. And I went, okay, you know what? This all sounds fine. And then that one ended up in the full downloads. So one of these things where I guess the plate, yeah, the plate needs to go on the back of the extrusion. So one of these things where it just kind of snuck in, and I didn't really intend for it to be here. But it is what it is. I guess I'll put it on. Where is the extrusion? There it is. No, there's not. Oh, it's all the way up here. Okay. Let's hop in here. Okay. And toss my construction plane on there. And come up into the X-axis and create a new component. X plates, and we will do a front plate and a back plate in one component. So here's the front plate, and where did that construction plane go? There it is. Plate side of extrusion. It sounds like a good name. We are going to, let's see, I want to make sure that we're past this edge. I also want to make sure that we are center on this extrusion. So I guess I will just grab the face and then go random. It's one of those things that's not really a great idea, is it? Nope. All right, we'll sneak in here and find the center line. And I'm going to drag this all the way over so it's easier to find to... Oh, did I not project that? I guess I didn't. Okay. Keep everything square and in line. To there. And that should, in theory, rather than be center, it should be square, which looks like it is slightly different, so it's good that I changed that. We want to make sure that it's perpendicular. And this actually assumes that, yeah, you know what? Technically speaking, so that assumes that the plate is perpendicular to the extrusion. We want to be real careful about that and make sure that it's actually just perpendicular and straight across from the extrusion itself, just in case for some reason the plate is slightly off in our CAD. So, connected. And now we can start drawing in the wheels, I think. Let's see. Just getting a quick bit of thought. I know I've thought a lot this stream, but it does require some planning. So we're gonna have our extrusion. There's the plate. The pulley needs to go right there for the x-axis. The pulley's gonna want to be, yeah, okay, so the one of these things where I feel like the x-axis, let me go, or actually, yeah, I'm gonna go look at the ender again, because I feel like the x-axis, I kind of want it overlapping the z-axis, but I don't think that's actually necessary. It's just that because I'm printing this part, I would like more leverage on it, and the further away it gets from the z-axis, the heavier the leverage is. So I meant I want a longer lever arm on our side where we're bolting it to, as opposed to a shorter lever arm where it's getting bolted. So what's that? Yeah, so it does not go all the way across the z-axis. The z-axis, however, is a 40 by 20 instead of a 20 by 20, which is a difference. I guess I'm kind of stuck. So yeah, so if let's sketch this out really quick. We're gonna have a wheel here. We're gonna have a wheel here and a wheel here. We're gonna have a motor right here in between the wheels. The motor is going to dictate the spacing on the wheels. And if the motor dictates the spacing on the wheels, then we don't have to worry about that. Otherwise, the center of the motor has the pulley on it, and the extrusion can only come as far as that is slightly, well, the motor actually, we're tensioning the motor. We're gonna tension the motor on this side. Maybe we should have put an adjustable idler on the other end. Maybe that would have been a better idea. Just because, nah, it's not that big a deal. Alright, so this is the minimum. This is the least amount of tension on the belt then in this position. And the extrusion is going to stop right here. Okay? So the extrusion is going to stop just barely short of that, so it's going to be overlapping that. And the z-axis then, these wheels, that is out front. The z-axis actually has to go, let me grab all this at the same time. That, and that. Alright, that's not going to work. Please, thank you. So the z-axis actually has to be on this side of the motor. Because the motor is going to be next to the z-axis. So that means that my wheels are there. And the x-axis is just going to extend out to reach the motor. Okay, cool. Okay. I got it now. Okay. So we can design off of the extrusion here. So I can go ahead and space this out. Now let me really quick come back over to the tool carriage, and I want to double check what the spacing I used here, because the tool carriage is very nice right now. It's a very nice in terms of tightness. Let's see, where did I put the wheels at? Bodies, how did I design the wheels? Okay, the wheels are already in there. So did I design it up on this sketch? I did. Okay, there we go. Alright, the spacing, like I said here, is really nice. Okay, it looks like I don't see a specific spacing for the wheels here. Is obnoxious. Oh my goodness, that's not even constrained. Ooh, that's not good. That is not good at all. Okay. So these guys are, how are you tangent? You're tangent to that? Okay, good. So you guys are tangent to that. I guess this guy, that is really obnoxious. I can't believe that's not constrained. I think that guy was supposed to be tangent there. So let me get this measurement here. So this is 43 millimeters. So that's 23 plus 20, so that makes sense. Alright, cool. So my wheels I sketch out at 23 millimeters and then add 20 millimeters for the extrusion. Makes sense, okay. I think the wheels, if I recall correctly, and the change here, yeah, diameter 24 millimeters. So I moved it down to 23 to get them tighter, and they're at a really nice place right now. So that is the update on how I'm spacing these out at this point. The point being, back into the sketch, we want to go 23 millimeter, well, 20 millimeters plus 23. We want to call these 23. The wheels nominally 23 is their nominal diameter for interacting with the V rollers, even though they measure 24 on the outside of the wheels. I can delete this for right now because I don't actually need this. And we will go like this. And center point on that. And right angle on that. And collinear with that. There we go. And now this spacing between here and here is 43 because it's 23 plus 24 the extrusion. And now we can draw our plate, or get started drawing our plate. Actually, you know what? I should. Where is my motor? Where is a motor at any rate? Because they're all the same size. They're NEMA 17s, and NEMA 17s being 1.7 millimeters, I believe, or 7.1 inches, or 1.7 inches. Let's see. Inches. All right, yeah, 1.7. is NEMA 17. So for this spacing here, we'll go ahead and toss the motor in here. And the motor cannot run into the extrusion, so I'm gonna really quick draw my 20 millimeters in here. Actually, in theory, I could do... there's a couple ways I can do this, right? Back to doing math properly. So I could go ahead and grab my center point here, come here, and then do from here to here 23.5 plus 20, and then maybe offset it by a millimeter just for breathing room. And in theory, that should be my extrusion should in theory fit in here, assuming I did everything else correct. So that's mathematically how I'm doing it. And Fusion, catch up please. Okay, there it goes. This would be 17 because it's NEMA 17, or not 17, 1.7 inch because this is, we'll try that again. 1.7, I wish, so it's one of these things, 1.7 inch, and then unless I hit enter or tab, or no, unless I hit tab, in my personal opinion, it should not autocomplete. I don't believe enter should autocomplete. This is one of my pet peeves, another one of my pet peeves with Fusion, is that enter autocompletes. That does not make terribly much sense to me, because you expect to record an measurement when you hit enter. This we're going to have to go and, because we're going to need to make sure that we don't interfere with the wheels. And again, the wheels are not 23 millimeters, they're 24 millimeters. So we need that 24 millimeters here as the actual reference point for the wheel. And then I'll go ahead and add a little bit of buffer, you know, just again, a millimeter buffer. And that's how we'll determine the spacing here. And now that we have all those spacings in here, this whole entire thing moves as expected. So now we can go ahead and design the plate and make sure that the plate does not overlap this. Again, technically speaking, the plate can overlap that because that's all out front. But just for the sake of my sanity, we're not going to. Just because I'm expecting something could go wrong. So, actually, you know what? Okay, here's what we're going to do. We are going to because the plate, these mounting points for these wheels all technically don't exist, right? These wheels don't actually exist in this sketch. The only thing that exists is the M5 holes. They are M5s, right? Let me quick sanity check, inspect. 5.6, probably not just getting, yeah, I'm getting the rim outside of the, there we go, 5 millimeters, yeah, M5s. As I said, M5s. I know what I'm talking about. So this is actually the only hole we need in here. So it's one of these things, actually, I won't make the plate. Oh, all right. You know how we just had that discussion about how I'd prefer to have more grip on the plate on the x-axis? So the longer I make the plate, the more I make the plate. The longer I make the plate, the more meat I have to use as a lever arm. So for example, what I was about to do was go like this and put my 3 millimeters around here. I'll go ahead and run through it really quick. And equals, whoops, that was incorrect. Let me back up because I made a mistake and equaled the wrong thing. All right, so that is this was how I was going to design the plate. So that's my 3mm offset so that I have meat around the bolts, and that is the minimum size the plate needs to be. Now if I attach the extrusion to this plate, I'd have to attach it like, let's say here and here. Well, I mean, not even there necessarily, but maybe there. So you can see how that's very close together. However, if I go back and instead of doing that, I just arbitrarily make it large out the front. And by arbitrarily make it large, I mean maybe give ourselves 3mm of space out here. Actually, maybe give ourselves 10mm of space, just because that makes my life easier. And then go from here 3mm, and actually I guess 8. So never mind, let me do this instead. So point being is that if I keep this, never mind, I'm just going to do it like this. So here's my M5 or M4. Are we using M4s to mount to the extrusion still? I think we're using M4s to mount to the extrusion still. So if that is in line with that guy, then I can go 3mm and actually delete that for right now because we'll do this. There's my offset for my whatchamacallit, and then we can tangent all that stuff. So I can determine the spacing here like this. Right? So this is my mounting point. I've now determined it. This is my front side mounting point for the X extrusion. That's going to be extended all the way over here. And then I can, again, put my other one 4. And we will just, let's see. So which one is my wheel? This is my wheel right here. Yeah, that's my wheel right there. So we can, in theory, put this frankly anywhere, including, I guess, again, if we're trying to get maximum back, then I will go ahead and give myself 3mm from the motor, where the motor gets cut out. So there we go. I can design it this way. This way works. So basically what we did right here, just in case I was not lucid enough, is I determined a distance from the center of this, from the edge rather, of this wheel. So this is 23mm. I'm technically off by a millimeter, but the M4 bolt head, I'm pretty sure is less than 3mm, less than 6mm rather, which is 3 on the radius. So therefore the bolt head will fit past, in theory, this wheel right here and be exposed for whenever I need it. And therefore this radius right here is good for having the bolt you know, in there, you know, 3mm from the edge, as I've talked about before. 3mm from this edge and clearing the wheel right here is how I should rather put it. So this 3mm serves two purposes. One, it clears this wheel, and two, it provides us padding along the edge of the plate, which is going to be right here. So that is that, and then this one back here, obviously the same thing. I'm giving myself a 3mm radius to clear the motor on this side so that the bolt head is exposed. Again, I could double check what the 4mm diameter is on the bolt head, but I don't think it's necessary. I'm pretty sure it's less than 3mm, and that 3mm is also useful because that's the thickness of the plastic between the edge and the bolt hole, so it doesn't tear out. And that then is that. The ones on the back here are less necessary, having plastic up here, because they're not supporting anything. These 2 points right here is holding this whole entire x-axis up, so that is why those guys are important. Now I know the screen has kind of been a bit full, so I'm gonna turn some stuff off for the time being. Actually, yeah, I'll just turn that stuff off, leave the other stuff on. So the last thing to do is just to drag this over, and this can be tangent. This is the edge of my plate, so this can be tangent to that line that we had before. And you can see we are now constrained. Now for making the Y plate, it's one of these things where the motor is going to have to be bolted in. The motor mounts holes. Let's see. So I'm going to need, whoops. I'm wondering if this one was necessary at this point. I could just do this tangent here. Because, tangent please, thank you. Because going this direction up to this guy, so if I throw my 3mm around here, again offset for the, so the bolts don't rip out. If I do that, then I could draw the start of the plate here, and then I can always add on later. To there, to there. So this is just going to be the basis of the plate, and then I will add on for supporting the motor and whatnot, is how I think I will approach this today. Tangent there, tangent there, and there. Alright, cool. And this is not a real object right now. These holes are, so we are good. Okay. And we want to extrude this straight back, so. And then the next question is what thickness? I'm going to double check over here what thickness we made this. I think we were, so that's at 4. I think we were at 6 actually for everything else though. So I think, so let me just hop down to the y-axis really quick. I think this stuff was 6mm, these attachments down here. Yeah, it is 6mm. So let's go ahead and extrude this 6mm then. Okie dokies. And we are inside the front panel, so I'm good with new body. And again, we will go ahead and adjust this this what you call it as we need to. Adjust the design as we add the motor in is what I'm trying to say. So the next thing I am considering is that let's see. The back plate. Let's see. The thickness on the wheels is try to 10mm. Okay, the thickness on the wheels is 10mm, so half of that is 5, and then 8 is 13. So my spacers, the 8 is my spacers, okay, for the wheels standoffs and the eccentric nut. So if that is 8 plus 5 is 13. So okay, we are definitely larger than the extrusion. I was just double checking that the extrusion, if I add the standard spacer size in and the eccentric nut, which is what we kind of need to do because I can't, well, so again, I have technically 3D printed an eccentric nut before, but I would like to use the metal ones on this design, and those are 8mm standoff standard. So for that reason, we are good to just put those in there at this point. So we will go ahead and bring all those in, and those should be under components. Actually, you know what? I know it's 8mm. I'm thinking I should put a center line in here first, actually. That way I'm prepared to mirror everything. It's one of those things, I could do this later, but I think it makes more sense to do that now. So 13 I said was my center line. 8 plus 5 is 13. And then we are prepared for when I want to. Actually, you know what? Maybe I even mirror the plate right now. Nah, I'll wait till mirror. I will wait to mirror. All right. Eccentric nut. Insert. Drag you over really quick so that you're easier to grab. And modify align. Oh, actually, that's one thing I should do. I forgot the eccentric nut is larger. So what was your diameter again? 7 millimeters. Okay, so we should adjust our design for that. So this is now 7 millimeters. And that hole, all right, these holes, yeah, these holes are set as equal. So I want to delete that and make sure that they're 5. Huh, what are you guys set equal to? Because it's not the... Oh, whoopsies. I changed the wrong one. There we go. So let me get rid of that first. Let me get rid of the equals first. The one I changed was the mounting hole for the extrusion, obviously. So this is 5 now, and that bottom guy can be equal to the top guy instead. Alright, and everything is reconstrained, so now I come back here to this wheel and change this to my 7 millimeter for the eccentric nut. There we go. Now we can align the eccentric nut and get the other stuff in here, the standoffs and whatnot. Actually, back to printing, I probably should print, alright, not necessarily should, like it's not an imperative, but I have been printing the standoffs instead of using the metal ones. So, actually... So as this is going to be printed, this is going to be printing standing up. I mean, not standing up, laying down, rather. So the layer lines are going to be in line with the standoffs if I put them on the print. But the shearing force should be basically in this orientation across this plane right here. You know, it wanting to twist off and shear this direction downwards as well, which means that that is in line with the layer lines. So actually I shouldn't 3D print these standoffs on this one because this has a lot of weight on it. Again, it's holding up the entire x-axis. I'm not too concerned about the tool plate because the tool plate is only holding up very, very light probing and sensing tools is the only intent of this machine. So therefore it's not going to actually have a lot of weight on those standoffs. And then the standoffs on the bottom, on the y-axis, are in compression. Kind of in compression. So the wheels do torque it a little bit, but it's not bad. It's not bad. So anyway, with all that being said, all that explanation out of the way, let me get that. That does not look accurate at all. Okay. Okay. And flip Rooney. There we go. And you look like you're coming through there straight. Well, relatively straight because you're a eccentric nut. The answer is yes. And capture position. And now the 2 metal spacers. Insert. Okay, and insert. Again, I'm doing it this way just because Fusion does silly things with the copy method. So I'm going to attempt to avoid that. Yeah, let me get this construction plane out of the way. I didn't think it was going to be this much of a pain in the butt. And flip. And modify. I can do both at the same time, that's fine. And flip. Okie dookies. And now the wheels. Do 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 do. Ah, no. Stop. Stop. Let's get this motor. Where's this motor at? There it is. Goodbye, motor. Modify, align. Do 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 do. Modify, align. Everybody looking groovy. Everybody looking groovy. All right. Let's capture. And then I don't think I want. No, I should. I should move the extrusion over at this point. We are prepared for it, so it is fine to move over at this point. Yeah. Okay. Let's do that really quick. So extrude, well, let me come down to the actual extrusion itself. Extrude, distance to object, that, yeah, what if I grab, can I grab the edge? Well, let me grab the edge, or just the face. Is he giving me a little point to snag onto there? I thought for a second there I saw a little point. Sometimes it gives you little points on circles to snag onto. Does not look like it. So let us go ahead and set in then, before we do this, the tangent plane. And by tangent plane, actually, I do not mean tangent plane. I'm actually gonna come in here. And, oh, I already have that line right there for the motor. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. We can use that. So I'm gonna do a plane at angle using the sketch instead, because I already know the maximum place where. And again, I kind of wish that Fusion would let you choose a reference plane for a plane at angle. Yeah, it's one of those things. If you redefine sketch plane, then it should cause problems, I believe, which is why I'd prefer for it to give you a reference plane option. But as usual, maybe there's something I'm missing. Why that would be a bad idea. To that, and then I'm going to just back it off by 1. Okay. And so yeah, we should be good. The only thing I was going to say is that the shaft, so technically speaking, I could drag all this over a little bit more. I'm actually going to leave this at 0 because of that. So the motor, in theory, actually stops, you know, potentially in line with this plate. It can stop behind this extrusion. So the extrusion will not interfere with the motor itself, because the pulley sticks out in front of the motor and should be able to reach the center of this, even if the motor is set back to be in line with this, which means that this extrusion can actually extend all the way up to the pulley, you know, within a millimeter, let's say. And it would be perfectly fine. It wouldn't have any problems with it. And the other thing that gives me is, it gives me, no, it doesn't give me, I take it back. I lied. I was going to say it might give me a little bit extra space to mount it to, but it doesn't actually give me extra space to mount it to. So the only thing that's doing is getting the start of the belt on the pulley closer to the extrusion. And I don't know how important that is. It may not be that important. I know when I looked at my ender, you know, at the start of the stream, or towards the start of the stream at any rate, that the pulley and the extrusion were basically right there next to each other. They were very, very close, which is why I was considering extending this over, but I don't know if that's necessary. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it like this. And it's one of those things, the T-nut here, that should be plenty of space for the T-nut to grab. The T-nut, because this is metal right here, I'm not worried about the T-nut shearing out the end somehow, you know? So we don't necessarily need more meat on this end. We don't need it. So I'm not going to put it there. And okay, I've been saying T-nut because I planned on T-nutting these guys in. Technically speaking, on these machines, like on the Ender, this is not T-nutted. This is actually through bolted, so they drill holes in the extrusion and bolted all the way through. Because this is such a small machine, it's just been my assumption that I could T-nut it and nothing terrible is going to happen. That is probably a little bit optimistic. The fact of the matter is that maybe if I want to do that, maybe I want to Loctite the nuts, the T-nuts, because the fact of the matter is that this is going to be moving around and shaking up and down, you know, which could rattle the T-nuts loose. So I might be being a little optimistic here, and it may be better for this to be bolted all the way through. The fact of the matter is that if I mirror this plate, which was my intention, I will have holes in the back plate that we are not using. So if in the future I decide this needs to be bolted all the way through, I can just drill the holes here and then bolt it all the way through both plates because the holes in the back plate are already there, and then put my lock nuts on the back plate. So we can modify this in the future as is and attempt to use the lock nuts and see if that works out. So that is us caught up on that. So I think I'm going to mirror now. And then after I mirror, I will make adjustments for the motor. Get the motor in place and then adjust the plates to accommodate the motor. Unless I want to do that first. Let's see. So the back plate is just going to have a cutout. The front plate is... This front plate is where the motor is going to be mounted. The back plate is just going to have a cutout. So I should... Yeah, I think I should modify these first. Mirror these first. And then do the motor modifications after the motor's in place. Because I don't want to mirror the modifications for the motor because they're different from plate to plate. The other thing that this brings up is, you'll recall that I just said that the motor can be flush with this extrusion. Technically speaking, the motor's not going to be flush with the extrusion if I'm mounting the motor to the back of this plate. So that was a bit of a moot point. However, the point does still stand that this extrusion can be extended out to the pulley. So that is everything. So let's go ahead and get this mirrored, and then we'll start working on the motor. Components, front plate, and now I can use that plane that was in my way, which was that guy. So this is X plate mid plane, or actually I should call this Z extrusion mid plane is what I should call that, because that's actually what that is. And this is edge of X motor. There we go. And do we need to do anything else? Let's go ahead and put a joint in really quick. Rigid group. And turn off my child components because that could screw up with the palm wheels. Where are you at? Where are you at, Mr. Construction Plane? There you are. Alright. This guy, this guy, this guy. This guy, this guy, this guy, this guy. And by screw up with my palm wheels have rotation joints in them. So if I try to make everything rigid, that would kind of screw everything up. Now, normally I do rigid groups with things connected. Oh, whoopsies. Let us back up just a second. Are these my inserts for the wheels? It looks like they are. Okay, I'm going to delete these. They shouldn't be referenced. Oh, they're referenced by the mirror. Yes. Correct. Okay, and now I'm going to bring my palm wheels in. Yeah, I don't think anything else got screwed up there. Now I'm going to bring my palm wheels into the X plates parent one because I accidentally put it in the front plate. Insert. Okay. Alright, let's see. Who is playing right now? Time to get rid of another song. Boo. Don't hate the music, just don't want it on the stream. That's all. Not playing. Okay, I did accidentally click the play button there, unfortunately. So give me half a second while I get the playlist fixed. Not playing. Alright, you may be hearing some repeat music, which you probably have been because I don't have that much downloaded at the moment. I've been meaning to get some more. Alrighty. Almost there. This is the other thing. You see the capture position thing up here? I can't think of anything else that you can do while you've got the capture position icons up here without hitting yes, capture position. It will pop up and say, would you like to capture position or revert? Without that dialog popping out, I can't think of anything else really you can do. So I wish once you entered this portion right here where the position, is available, the capture position, etc. is up there. I wish they would convert it to, I'll go ahead and show you. I wish it would convert the toolbar to this one. That way I didn't have to keep on going into the menus because again, anything other than these two things will ask you to stop and capture or revert position before you take that action, as far as I'm aware. So since these are the only two valid options before finish position or cancel position, then really this toolbar should automatically, this positioning toolbar should automatically pop up when you are in the middle of moving stuff and have the capture available. Okie dokies. One other thing that I should mention. No, never mind. Alright, I'll mention it. If I through bolt this all the way through, then I really should have spacers in here to make sure the bolt is not twerking on the plastic. So that is something we should add in if we plan on through bolting the entire way. Alright, and we are now in position to get the motor up here. So I believe I have, do I have the X motor up here somewhere? That is the Z motor right there. Alright, I'm not seeing it. So since I'm not seeing it, let's come up to Z axis, or X axis rather. Minimize this stuff. Minimize that stuff right now. Alright, up to X axis, and let me go ahead and bring in the short motor, the 17x34. Insert. Insert. There we go. And we can go ahead and position that. Align that to this plate right here, please. Thank you. modify align that edge to my plane that I have, which is in front plate, that guy, and you are on the correct side. And then I guess we're good there. Okay. And as you can see, our shaft still, assuming that my CAD is accurate here, which I believe it is, still reaches to that, so we can put the pulley on there. And actually, let us go ahead and do that as well. I'm going to capture position really quick. Oh, actually, one thing I should have done was made sure this was centered in here, but it looks like it is. It looks like it is. Yeah, it looks like it's centered there anyway. I should have double checked that one. One of those things, we're building on Origin right now, so it should have been centered. It wouldn't have made sense if it was not centered. So, where's my pulley at? There it is, G2 pulley. Insert. Or actually, you know, Control Z. And let me hop inside the motor itself. Oh, can't enter in place. That is correct. And actually, that's the funny thing, right? It inserted it into, it looks like. Okay, no, it did insert into the x-axis. For a second there, it looked like it inserted into the z-axis, the way the tree was sitting, but we good, we good. Okie dokies, and align. That can go there for right now. Flip around. And then, well, I guess since I was going to align on the shaft anyway, I probably should have just aligned on the shaft anyway. A little bit silly, a little bit silly. And do you have a center line on you? It does not look like you have a center line on you. That's probably something I should go back into this object and put in there as a center plane to align with the center of the whatchamacallit. For right now, this should be good enough. Maybe not there. I take it back. Maybe this face to that face. Ah, no, not like that though. All right, that face to that face. There we go. There we go, boys. All right, and now we can make sure that you stay on there. Rigid, good. And while I'm at it, yeah, you know what? Let me move this down the end here and add this to the rigid group. Attempt to add that to the rigid group. It appears that it does not want to be added to the rigid group. Oh, because it's the joint is designed down here. No, that should be the rigid group right there, right? No, it's not. Okay, it is not. The rigid group is in another, is in a sub assembly, so that is not going to work. Boop that, and this front plate, please. Rigid. Okay. All right, all right, all right. All the prep work is out of the way. Now we can go ahead and finish off this plate. So, do I have a plane? I don't believe I have a plane for the inside of the plate yet. So we will go ahead and amend that situation. Whoops. Yeah. Nah, you know what? I will do it on this object. I was going to say I should be inside the front plate, but actually, I am going to go ahead and not. And I'm going to just do this on X plates, period, so that I can have an excuse, rather. So that I have an excuse to boom, cut both at the same time. That, and then that ring right there. Okay. And now we can turn the motor off because I don't need anything else from the motor. Alright, and those are reference points. Actually, I can leave these holes here. This I wanted to open up by a little bit, just to give ourselves some breathing room. And then we can go ahead and start doing slots. Attempt to do slots. And I'm not sure what I did for the y-axis. I think the y-axis looks good for the amount of stretch that it can have. So we will take a look at that in a minute, as soon as I got all these guys conforming. Tangent, tangent, and actually, yeah, because I was putting these slots in here, there was really no need to turn these guys back to regular lines. Derp-de-derped. Alright, let us check on the y-axis really quick what I put in there for tensioning. And in theory that line is center of both holes, right? So this should be just, okay, so 6 millimeters. So 6 millimeters, and then we can just equal off everything else. Boom, 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 boom. And then we can draw the rest of the stuff we want. So let me go ahead and project out the plate so that we can see what we're looking at for the plate. Yeah, I don't really want all that. I don't want all the holes on this design. You know what? It's easier to just have them there. And by easier, I mean not at all easier, but I'm not going to take them off at this point. Shoot, maybe I should. Alright, let's see. This is one of those things where maybe I should have done it in 2 steps. I just didn't want to put the extra effort in, and now it is going to cause us a little bit of problem. So I think this is, and Fusion's extra line, thank you. I didn't actually want that midpoint. I didn't know you could go midpoint to an arc, I don't think. I don't think that's something I knew before. Interesting. Let's draw 3 millimeters into here for the offset, for the closest we can get. And we'll make you perpendicular. Not coincident, tangent. There we go. So there's the back, and then I just need this to be tangent up here, and that's already tangent down there. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to extrude out this here on the front plate. And then extrude out. What other sketch is still up? Yeah, that I don't want that sketch. Correct. And my other sketch. There we go. And now I'm going to recut everything just to be safe. I mean, this is kind of unnecessary to do these guys that are already inside the plate, but I'm just being a little bit paranoid. Distance all. Huh. Okay, fine. Distance to object. Cut. Okay. There we go. All right. So now we have our slotting moves for that. And now we can cut out the back plate, which would be this guy, everything inside of here. And hopefully I don't have any kind of weird little extrusion leftovers. Oh, actually. So it depends how much. So the motor is mounted to the front plate. So since the motor is mounted to the front plate, let's go ahead and turn that on so we can see what I'm talking about here. The back plate is not necessarily doing much of anything, right? So I could just, in theory, cut out this part right here and leave the back plate as is. Or I could extrude a shelf just so that the motor has a little extra support. Those are two options. It's one of those things. It's extra plastic that doesn't really do anything. The other thing is that if I'm going to bother extruding the extra plastic on the bottom, why don't I just wrap it all the way around? That way the plastic is connected, because it's going to be printed like this, right? So the layers then would be adhering in the orientation. So if for some reason this motor exerts pressure down on this edge over here, this theoretical edge, that edge then strains, right? Whereas if I wrap it all the way around, it's actually connected in a continuous loop all the way up to here, so it doesn't really feel the strain as much. So if I'm going to do it, I may as well go whole hog on it. The question is that even a reasonable thing to do? Which I don't know that it is. So I don't think we will. I think we will just go ahead and extrude what we need to and be done with it. Cut. Okay, I need to change the name of that from front plate mirror to back plate. There we go. That way when it pops up in dialog boxes, I don't get myself confused. Alright. Turn the sketch off now. So there's our tensioning on the belt. Here is the pulley and the belt. Let me go ahead and hop up here so everything is visible. And Fusion has been doing this recently, I've noticed. I don't know why. It's been putting these seams on stuff. I don't recall that ever being a problem before. I did figure out... well, let me double check before I sound silly. Okay, yes, these are the same... Oh, no, these are not the same body. That was not a join. Okay, I had a situation earlier where... Join? Huh, okay. Let's delete these two and try this again. I had a situation earlier where I was working on something for the home where I extruded from a face, or I extruded from a sketch, said extrude from, so extrude from start, okay, to past the body to add on to it, and it put a seam on the outside edge where it shouldn't have had a seam. But when I started from the start, so when I moved the sketch profile, or when I just extruded rather the sketch profile from the start right here, let's say the sketch profile was on this plane. If I started it on the top plane and went up, it had a seam. If I started from down here and then just added in this thickness right here to compensate, it would not have a seam. So that's a little weird to me, but again, there's things I don't know. So here's front plate. Let's try this again. That, and that is everything. To object there and join. That is good. And then the cutouts. Let me turn this guy off because I'm having difficulty seeing this right now. And since this is the second time I'm doing this, guess what? We're going to be less paranoid. Cut. Cool. Alrighty. looks correct now. And actually, while I'm in here, I'm going to go ahead and just make this look a little bit prettier. Since we have round corners on the other edges, we'll have round corners over here. 5mm is fine. Yeah, it looks good. Alright. And an hour in, we have now done the connection to the Z-axis, which counts as working on the Z-axis. Yes, this is a Z-axis stream, seriously. Seriously. It counts. It's connection to the Z-axis. It counts. Where's my wheels at? There we go. And let's come back up here to the Z-axis now. Alrighty. Looks pretty. We can make it a little bit prettier. What other colors am I using in the design right now? I'm using green, right? One of these is green, and the back is red. So, plastic. Oh, I forgot to move pink over. I still haven't added pink over from the other design. Here's orange, and here is brown. And you are cut around, right? Huh. You are not cut around. There we go. Much better. Control Z, and there. Okay, cool. And it's one of those things, this technically, let me check my physical model, okay? Let me check my physical model, because nominally an NEMA 17 is 1.7 millimeters, or 1.7 inches rather, 1.7 inches, but my CAD model says 1.63. My actual physical device says 1.66. So yeah, it's definitely less than 1.7. So this cutout square is 1.7. We should have our clearance already inbuilt, so I don't have to offset those faces. Alrighty, so there is that. And it's funny, you can see how far out, like how much extra bulkier it got from the frame, just because of everything we had to accommodate. Again, technically speaking, this plate could be further in on the extrusion, but I wanted to make sure that we had access to these bolts, and that is especially important if we end up through bolting it all the way through. So this is the size the plate more or less needs to be, but it is funny to look at it, compare it to the base, which the base was pretty big to start out with, and realize just how bulky this ended up being. And again, this being a rather minimal design right now. So now for the Z-axis, seriously, really, absolutely honest. So the X-axis is not accurately placed in terms of Z height. I guess we can do that really quick. Let's go ahead and move it up. The only thing I was going to say is it doesn't necessarily matter. What matters is that it's oriented correctly in this direction in the X and Y axis, just not in the Z axis. We can always move it later on the Z axis. But let us see. We can go ahead and get this at least above the bed for right now. X axis. Yeah, okay, this is going to be a little bit of a problem. This is... Does this not have a slider on it? Because it shouldn't have moved by itself. I guess it doesn't have a slider on it. I was expecting it to pull everything else up with it because everything else was jointed. But it looks like it does not have... There's the tool carriage. Joints, yeah, that's just rigid group there. So, okay, it does not have a slider joint on it just yet. So, let's go ahead and amend that. As built joint, that, and we want a slider. And let me actually grab the inside here, if I can, and do that. It kind of gets it. Okay, and now let me come up here, try to align that now that that has a joint on it. Okay, that worked, but we evidently don't have the extrusion in a rigid group. I thought we did, but clearly I am not with it. I thought the... Oh, do I not have... Okay, I did a rigid group here. I knew that. I did a rigid group here. Let's double check. Edit joint. What are my two guys? That's that. Edit joint. What are my two guys? That and that. Okay, yeah, I don't actually have a rigid group between the extrusion and the... What you call it? And actually, I probably... Let's see. Yeah, I should probably delete this one. And then rigid group all three of these, because they're all basically bolted to get... do not include children, please. And that. Okay, there we go. And now we can attempt to align this stuff. And I'm just double checking my toolbar that I didn't capture the previous attempt. Again, just a little bit of paranoia there. Alright, so the wheels fell off. I'm actually a little surprised this wheel did not... Oh, this wheel did fall off. It just moved exactly the amount to make it look like this wheel is still attached, but that's actually the top wheel. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, one last thing. One last construction. And by one last, I mean it's slightly more than one last, but this is all under X plates. Yeah, it's all under X plates, so we can cop in here. Revolve as built joint. Let me turn off the back plate. And all right, there's you. So two front plate as built joint. As built joint. Thank you. Huh. I don't want the cage here, dude. I just want this face. It looks like it's giving me... Oh, hold on. Revolve. Why does it not want to select this face right here? I am actually very confuzzled. Huh. I've only been doing this for a while now. This is fascinating. Get out of my way. As built joint. Huh. Okay, I guess that you know what? I'm probably getting myself confused here is probably what's happening. And I'm probably getting myself confused because I'm expecting it to snap like the align feature is probably what I'm doing here. So this is probably me being derpy. Front plate. Okay. Find the next one. Turn the front plate off. As built joint. Oops, not that one. Front plate is what I was looking for. That guy, and then yeah, that's fine. That edge is fine. Boop boop boo boop boop boo. Do 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 do. That is not the right wheel. Where'd my wheel go? There it is. key. Turn everything back on. Turn the bed back on. There and there. And I don't think we lost. We lost something. Oh boy. Hilarious. It's hilarious. Okay. Where's my rigid group at? This can be in the rigid group too. You. Alright, let's try that again. One last time. As previously stated, all of this was extremely unnecessary, and we did it anyway. On the bright side, those joints are stuff that we should have implemented, so even if it took 10 minutes, it was stuff that needed to get done anyway. Alrighty. So the design of this Z-axis is going to be a little interesting. And it's going to be interesting because the belt needs to go on the Z-axis. Let me... what the heck was that thing called again? Let me pull up my history, browse in history. And this was a while ago. Let's try searching. That is not accurate. I wonder why. Okay. If you heard any of that, I didn't hear any of it, but that was one of my videos. I don't know why it opened up. Huh. Very interesting. So it's not filtering my searches. I guess that means... shoot. Was it easy? Alright. Can you give me the full actual search... the full actual history page, please? Because you're not clearly working. Yeah, there we go. Now you're working. Easy on the full page. Easy 3D printer. There we go. I wanted to see... Okay, no. The Easy 3D printer used linear rails too. Okay. So, my point being is that the belt is going vertically here, right? Maybe I think I talked about this. I think I actually did talk about this. And the solution here may be that we use 2 pieces of extrusion on the Z-axis. Because my problem is that if I put 1 piece of extrusion on the Z-axis, and then I either have to have the belt running through the extrusion just like this, so I have it set up just like this, which is technically possible, but is going to look real sketchy, and I'm going to be a little bit concerned. The alternative is to have 2 pieces of extrusion going up and then the belt between it, which is a lot like what we do over here in examples. Right there. Or no, the Prusa Mini actually was the one I meant to pull up. Prusa Mini. So that's a lot like the Prusa Mini, where it has 2 guide rails, right? And then the actuator in between the 2. So that is, we could do something like that and just replace these linear rails with extrusions. And then have this be replaced by the belt. So we can set it up in this 3-point system. That way the belt is pulling down dead center of the 2 extrusions. Otherwise, if I have an extrusion here and the belt here, then you can see how the belt is torquing on the extrusion, right? Which is a little sketchy. Again, we have very light loads at this point, so it may not be as big of a problem as I'm making it out to be. But it's still a problem. And this is the funniest thing, live streaming, right? Is I go and look over at the preview window and I see my mouse, so I'm like, okay, I'm already on the other screen, my second monitor, but I'm not. Goodness. All right. The third option is to have, again, it set up exactly like this. The problem is that the motor, then so basically imagine this being my z-axis. So now this plate is the thing holding this z-axis up, which again might be doable. It might, we may not have that much force going on here, and therefore it may be possible to actually just have this plate hold this z-axis, sandwich it. We'll sandwich it across the z-axis and then have the belt going up and down. Yeah, you know what? I think I actually have talked myself into trying that out. It's a bit sketchy, but like I said, actually, we do run into a little bit of a problem here. And that is clearances. Because this plate that's holding the z-axis, let's see what happens. It can only be just so tall as what I was getting at. But that may not be that big of a problem. We may actually be able to make this work. Let me turn this motor back on. And this motor, I'm going to go ahead and... actually. All right. Let me get the pulley for this guy in here. Get him attached and then get him lined up with... what are you, Mr. Extrusion? Are you just random? Okay, you are the Z-axis extrusion. Although, I probably... Do I want to... I can't edit in place, right? Yeah, I can't edit in place, so I'm better off battery filling you to make a new extrusion. I'm just thinking, so... how am I going to line this up? How am I going to line this up? I guess I just... Yeah, alright. I'm going to boundary fill this extrusion, get the extrusion in place, and then get the motor in place after that, is how we're going to do this. Did I already bring the pulley in yet? No. We'll go ahead and do that really quick, since that's an easy thing to get out of the way. Okay. Align on the shaft. Flippity floppity. Capture. Let's see. I was going to... I guess I'll leave it there for right now. No, you know what? I'm going to move it as far out as I can. Is what I'm going to do here. Not that, though. Stop selecting stuff I don't want. Fusion! There we go. There we go. And now I'm going to rigid position, or rigid this guy. As built, that and that. Rigid. Okie dokies. Just so that I can position it freely. And now we can go ahead and do this boundary fill I was talking about. Boundary fill, that guy, new component, okay. Z-axis extrusion. And turn you off. Actually, you know what? I am tempted to just remove you altogether, but I guess I won't yet. I guess I will not just yet. Now, what I'm going to do here, now that I have this and I can edit it in place, is create a midplane is my plan, and then line that midplane up with the midplane for the rollers. X plates, construction, front plate, there we go. Z extrusion midplane, there we go. So that is now in line here. The next thing we need to do is I'm going to lay you down really quick with the floor. assuming I can click the floor with the floor, please. And you moved. Alright, fine. I guess I should have done that first. Where's my plane? There's my plane. And there's my plane. Oh, okay. Never mind. Let's turn the Y off really quick because it's in the way. And we'll align that face to that face. No, you were not supposed to move. You were supposed to stay still. I specifically stated that it is this extrusion moving and not you. There we go. Much better. And again, this motor is close to the edge of the extrusion. So that's why I'm comfortable doing that. I'm not going to bother moving this over because this will naturally slide itself over when we assemble it. So it's not that big of a deal. In other words, so let's say that this extrusion actually is going to sit slightly to the left here because these wheels are slightly to the left, okay, from this orientation. Well, it's automatically just going to slide the whole entire x-axis in order to compensate for that. So I don't have to worry about having the extra, you know, not being directly on this motor is my point. And let me turn the bed back on really quick so that I can consider. Yeah, okay. So at this point we have the Z-axis in place. It is just a matter of getting the motor in place and then building the plates, and or building the plates and then getting the motor in place. Either one works. I don't think I'm going to bother extruding this upwards just yet. I'm going to leave it just as a reference. So let us go ahead. We can close the x-axis for right now and add a new component, which is the Z-axis plates. And again, we're going to attempt to do this. I'm just not sure about headroom. We might not have the headroom to fit it in below the bed. Although the bed is going to have feet on it to lift it up. So we actually have more space than it looks like right now because we still haven't done the feet. But because we haven't done the Z-axis in X number of videos, I kind of want to go ahead and do the Z-axis while we're here. So let us go ahead and we can capture position, and I will go ahead and toss this plate on here because this is the plate. No, actually this won't be the plate. Okay, the stepper motor for the Z-axis. Okay, the stepper motor for the Z-axis can be mounted to the back plate in this situation. So it will be out the back here of the stepper motor. And in that case, the stepper motor, the Z-axis, the Z-axis extrusion, does not need to come up nearly as high because it only needs to have the pulley, because we're not dodging the motor too. We're not going to have to get above the motor as well. We only need to get above the pulley. Okay, cool. That is now resolved, that issue. So I guess I'll take this face and this face as my references, and maybe the center line. Okie dokies. So that's what we're starting with. We need to build a plate to hold this. So let us start with a box because that's the easiest thing to do. I guess yeah, we'll center it on this guy right here. That's fine. I do want to get a center line up here though, because I'm going to be mounting the extrusion. We need to mount the extrusion at any rate. with some bolts. Actually, yeah, before I do this, let's back up a half second. And wait, where did my... Huh, that's interesting. Okay. I will step backwards though. Come to Z-axis. I think I do want to have the pulley in position for this. So let's trim another song off the list. Let's see. This is a fun stream, right, guys? We got to delete a whole bunch of music out of the playlist. And now I have a better excuse to add some more in. So, biggest problem is aligning this, because again, I don't have a center plane on this. I prefer to have a center plane on this pulley to better align it, but that is not happening right now. So let me inspect and check the width here, and then we will compensate. Actually, not that width. It makes more sense to get to the front. So from here, not that dot though, that to the front is 8.5. So we're going to align the front to the mid. Yeah. We're going to align the front to the mid plane here. Okay. Fusion, please cooperate. All right. So there is that. And then we will move it. Or actually, what I... Yeah, we also need to align it in the X direction as well, which is a little bit obnoxious. Let's see. Rather than move, let's try aligning the center dot here. I don't know which center dot I just got right there. Yeah, not gonna happen. What else can we use to align? Maybe this. Yeah, it works for me. Kind of. Gets me where I want to be at any rate. So, modify, align. That to that. And flip. That does not... Where'd you go? Oh goodness. Okay. That's fine. That's fine. We can fix this. Oh my goodness. Back to this stupid bar up here. Really should not exist. Alright. Onwards and upwards. There we go. And now I can move back. I said it was 8.5, so I can move back. Try to move back. 4.25. There we go. There we go. There we go. We got there eventually. And now we can capture a position, and now we can run forward into the future. Assuming that the timeline actually lets me do that. And I can project off the pulley. Okay. And now I know where to, or how high I need to put my bolts rather, which was the whole entire point of this exercise. I needed to know how high above here I could mount this plate to the extrusion. So back to, we will attempt to do our M4. So I have M5 T-nuts and M6s. I actually have M5s and M6s. Do I want to, instead of using M4s, use M5s? I actually do think I want to, in which case the This is going to throw off a lot of our design. I also need M5 bolts, which I don't have very many of at the I've got a few. That's right, I do have the longer ones. I do have the longer ones in the box. I don't have very many short ones, though, for attaching T-nuts to, is the problem. It just occurred to me I could T-nut and have the spacers in the x-axis. I could do both. I could run a long bolt through all the way. If I switch to M5s, then that's going to change the positioning of all this right now. I have to realign because, again, Fusion's alignment does not actually have a history to it for some reason. Again, I don't quite understand why, but... We'll stick with the M4s and see what happens. See what breaks. Let's see. Actually, I won't do it down here. I'll do my 3mm around here. Tangent that. And then we'll throw a second one in for good measure. And I'm trying to keep this as low as possible. So I will just tangent there. And now we can do this, x equals, and bring this guy down tangent to this. So this keeps us as low as possible on this. And we probably are going to want to T-nut both sides of the Z extrusion because we're going this route. So actually the other thing that we can do, okay, this is something I did not think of. So let us not tangent this here. I should have thought of this. This is actually not a bad idea. We can have a shelf along here that the Z-axis sits on, and then just make sure that we cut out for the pulley. Just cut a hole out for the pulley. And by pulley, I mean the pulley in the belt. And actually, in that case, it doesn't even... We're better off just having a short shelf. In that case. Yeah. Yeah. Alright, let's center this on that and just make it to 20mm. That centered and that coinkydinct and 20mm. And then I will give myself... So this, one of those things, this has extra meat right here. This is not as close as it could be. And the only... argument here is, well, let me get this tangent down here while I'm talking. The only argument here is that I want to leave some space to get the bolt head in. Again, the M4 bolt head is smaller than 6mm. Well, smaller than, this is 3 plus 3 plus 4, right? So that's smaller than 10mm. So this could be closer, but I'm going to leave it as is, and we'll see what happens. If I need to adjust it, I need to adjust it. Otherwise, this... I don't really want to make it that heavy because, again, the bolts, the T-nuts itself, the T-nuts themselves actually should be holding the, in theory, hopefully holding it pretty sturdily, so it doesn't need to be that stiff. And then as in terms of this over here, I guess I project out, or all right, let's do this. Let's draw in the motor, our theoretical motor. Actually, it doesn't matter if I draw in the motor. I should just project the motor, is what I should do, because the motor's going to be... We're on the... Well, all right, I didn't make my component first, which was a mistake. Again, in this design, we're making components first. I go back and forth. See what we can learn about that stuff, but point being is that in theory this is the back plate, I believe, is what I'm working on right now. So the motor will be mounted out the back, point being. And interestingly, okay, the face of the motor, that's right, is chamfered. That is why I was going to say, interesting, the motor is not sitting on the ground, but it actually is. Let me turn this stuff off because this is just reference lines right here. There we go. They're faces, so they have multiple lines to them. This right here is our outside. So technically we don't need to cut all this out, but I will because we also don't need it. So actually no, I take that back. Normally, because it's going to be mounted right to this face, I do. Yes. Okay. I take it back. Ignore what I was saying. Alright, tangents. We will offset it manually instead of doing that right now, instead of adding an offset ring right now. Is the plan. So that all gets cut out and is technically all construction lines. This shelf right here, I guess will only be on the front plate at this point. I guess it will only be on the front plate and not this plate because the motor's in the way and the motor's getting mounted right here. Although the motor's getting mounted to the front side and it is not 6mm. Yeah, okay. Okay. So it can be put right here. It's just going to be, let's see. We'll deal with it. Now, the more important thing is that I need to get, the reason I was getting the motor in here is that I need to get the, do I? No, I should. Going back and forth a little bit here about, back to holes and spacers to hold these two together, these two plates together. Alright, so the inner ones will make M4s just like everything else. And by everything else, I mean not everything else, but that is what I'm deciding right now. So there's the M4s, and then I want 3mm of spacers to make them pretty sturdy. That's the outside guy. And then those can just be tangent, right? Tangent. You know what? I will leave myself a little bit of space for the motor. And I should be able to only have to do this on one of them, right? Because that will determine everything else. Yeah, you see the rest of this got constrained. So now I can just tangent this guy here and here, here and here, here and here, and then it's a matter of how far in vertically we want to put all this stuff. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to box these guys all up. So there's the box up, and then do I want to define it off center is the next question, or yeah, I guess I want to define it off center. I've probably got too much on this sketch right now. I should have probably done this in a few different steps, but you know what, I'll cry about it later. There is that. Oh, I thought you were boxed up on this side too. There we go. And now I can set the spacing like this from, since this is centered on the overall plate, I can say like 10mm from the edge. So my thought on putting it down from the edge is just so that I have clearance. I don't know if that's really necessary though. We could instead just say that this is good enough and it's close enough to the corners. Yeah, that's fine. The next question is, do I want to do something with this tangent right here to round off the corners to make it look more presentable? I mean, most of the stuff on this machine so far, with the exception of the X-axis plates, have been square. You know what? I will. I take it back. Let's go ahead. Tangent. And then let's do something like... Actually, yeah, let's go to center. There we go. Tangent and go to center. Cool. All right. And now let us get extruding. Again, should have put my... Oh, that wasn't even in... Ooh, I am so derpy. That was just in... Where is the sketch at? Oh, okay, that sketch was in Z plates. I saw that we were active on Z-axis. I was like, oh crap, I put that sketch in just the Z-axis component. All right. It's fine. We'll be all right. Back plate. I will change the name of that. Z-axis, Axos. Back plate. And we can go ahead and extrude this, that, and that. I'll come back for the shelf later. Let's see. And that is correct. Okay. And now this plane, where is this relative to everything else? Okay, this is right there. So I do want to go back. Oh, no. No. Oh, no. Where's my motor at? Okay, good. I do have space. I just realized I knew that the pulley was centered on this, and I was afraid I didn't have enough shaft space to actually get this here. Okay, I mean, we want 6 is what we want. Okay, it looks like we'll be fine. Okay. I scared myself for a second there. Oh, boy. That was scary. And it's one of these things where, technically speaking, this motor is going to slide in a little bit. We'll just adjust the pulley backwards is all that's going to happen. So it's not that big a deal. So let me go ahead and offset these faces per previously discussed. Minus 0.1, just, 0.25. It's one of those things they're not actually doing anything. They're just clearing for this ring because, again, this ring is going to be sucked directly into the bracket because it's getting bolted there. Oh, okay. We do have to get above this, however. Let's see where we're at on height. There's the x-axis. Okay, yeah. So as previously discussed, we are colliding with the x-axis right now. So a couple things can happen here. The x-axis can be moved out. Again, this placement of where we got the x-axis at is not... actually, I take that back. It is exactly where it needs to be. Okay. Okay. Let us see. How do we want to resolve this guy? Because the wheels on the x-axis do have to be right there. Okay. So there is a funny way to resolve this. It's not the best way, but it is a funny way to resolve it. and that is to put an idler pulley down here instead of the motor on this plate that's holding the X extrusion, and that lowers everything down here, right? Because we don't need to accommodate the motor anymore, and move the motor out to the side and just run the run it off the pulley. This is definitely an option. Definitely an option. You technically need two pulleys, one for the outer and one for the inner belts. Definitely an option. We can't get this. Here's another funny option for you, and that is to extend the shaft. So put a coupler on the shaft, extend it out with another shaft, another 8mm shaft, and then put the pulley on that. That is another option. And other options. Let's see. I'm not coming up with any other options. Our suggestion of using two extrusions doesn't actually solve this problem, because in theory the motor is still in line, which means that you still got to do something like either put an extension on the shaft or change the pulley direction with idler pulleys. So that doesn't actually solve our problem. Let us see. Other options. Yeah, I actually can't think of any others. So, I was trying to get this done this stream, and I figured we just had the Z brackets left, and then just slap an idler up top was the only other thing I was seeing. But I guess the other thing would maybe to be running plastic out to the base in order to position it correctly horizontally, to aid in positioning it. It doesn't necessarily need to be connected to the base, but in order to aid that may be something we want to do. However, being as this is all becoming a little bit difficult, I think I will cut this stream here, and we will come back for yet another part. It's one of those things. The CNC machine is a pretty complicated device. I know I went into this saying it's fairly straightforward, and to some degree something like this is significantly more straightforward than if we were actually worried about tolerances and loads, which we are not at all. We are not at all worried about tolerances or loads at this point. So it is definitely a lot simpler than it could be. Otherwise, like I said, hopefully one more stream gets us there. There it is. There's the origin. And then we will finally be done. And it's one of the things I've been printing parts as we go along anyway. So unlike the arcade stick, the new arcade stick, the throttle, the digital throttle, we are actually quite reasonably close. We'll be really reasonably close to having this done by the time we come back to do the next part of the mini CNC. And I guess since I want to get it done, we will go ahead and schedule that for the next stream, so look forward to that. And in the meantime, while I am on break and getting stuff printed, while I'm on break, I will get stuff printed. And as for the arcade stick, the digital throttle, that does take a full, well, not a full, but very close to 24 hours of continuous printing to get done. And I am printing it in different colors so that we can see the components easily on stream once it's done being printed out. So for that reason, that will not be done today, obviously, because I am streaming instead of printing, and I do not run my printer since it's right over there next to me on my desk, or not actually on my desk, it's on a side table, but next to my desk. So that makes it a little difficult to stream. Again, when I first started the channel, I actually did have the printer running while I was streaming, and I found that was rather obnoxious to have in the background. So that is why I do not print while I'm streaming, which means that the arcade stick is not printing right now. Which means that the arcade stick has absolutely no chance in heck of getting done, the throttle, digital throttle, understand what I'm saying, getting done today, since, again, over 24 hours worth, or close to 24 hours worth of printing. So, if we do a third stream today, that will not be tooth and tail, since the digital throttle will not be done at that point. So if we do a third stream after we do the next and hopefully final part of this mini CNC project, if we do a third stream tonight, that will probably then be the stream animations program. Getting, again, finally getting some basic AI and pathfinding into the program. So yep, that is the plan for today. And thank you guys for hanging out if you have been. And for anybody in the future, thank you for finding the videos and watching. I hope you've been enjoying them. And otherwise, I hope, as always, that you have a great and wonderful day, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are at in the world. And I will catch you next time.